Hello everybody, it's Matthew. I am going to, or meachew, or peach, or a brown emo boy, LDS emo boy. I'm going to react to some unnerving images with unnerving music. I'm going to see if the volume is good. I'm playing also some lo-fi in the background, just so it doesn't get like kind of too boring. Trust me, I'm not scared. I just think putting a lo-fi in the background is good and it fits well with everything because Steezy as F's YouTube channel has chill hop lo-fi, and I've noticed that some of my favorite YouTubers that I like watching, they put lo-fi in the background as well, so I figured why not I should do it. So I will. Let me put it like that. Alright, let's go. What the heck is that supposed to be anyway? Alright, I'll turn this up a little bit. Oh, you know what's happening? There's probably some echo. Can I have that as a pet? I want that as a pet. I kind of like reacting to things. It's kind of fun. I also have some water by me. I don't know. Let me put it up a little bit. I should probably oh look, it's so scary, look at that. This isn't scary at all. That's cool looking. I want that as a pet. Can I have it as a pet? Okay, that's kind of annoying. Not the pictures, they're pretty good, but sometimes if the music is too loud, it kind of it takes away from the atmosphere. Though it's not really too scary at all. These are cool looking pictures. I like it. And again, I'm an emo LDS boy, so I'm not really scared. I'm not scared of much. What is that supposed to be? Dude, it's just funny. None of this is scaring me at all. Like, I have it, like, on full blast. Well, I mean, not full blast, full screen. And, like, the lights are off, the window's open. And it's just not scaring me. I also like the lo-fi in the background. It makes it pretty enjoyable for me. And it doesn't make it as boring as well, because my commentary is like so boring. My voice is. Look, it's not my fault. That's how I sound. Those look kind of like vajayjays. Dude, what is that? It's like a boomerang on top of a... I like the low resolution, though. This could look like it could be an FPS game. I'm gonna go on Twitter X and type this out. Oh, hey, look, it's my sleep paralysis. It's Satan. Hey, Satan. What's up, buddy? I'm getting used to more and more of my voice and me reacting to stuff. It used to bother me, but now it doesn't. Are we almost done with this video? Yeah, we are, but we got 2 more. I'll show you. This one and this one. What is that, like Clifford, the big blue dog? Can you imagine if I had a gun? It's like, bye bye burglar. This is scary, not really. just typing on Twitter X that I'm currently watching unnerving music with unnerving videos, images with lo-fi. I think I have a pretty good setup here. Okay. Yo, dude, what's up? Well, this kind of makes me glad I didn't put it up all the way, because this would just be so annoying. It must be 2015 or 2019. Look, it's a spider woman thing. Are you the octagon person? Oh, I'm sorry, the Octomom, I mean. What is that, Cthulhu? Yeah, whatever. I don't know how people stay interested in watching this. Like, don't get me wrong, it is fun to watch, but it can get a little bit boring after a while. Doggy. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Probably right there. No, I don't want to subscribe to you, Steven. Sorry, Steven, but I can't. Sorry for you too, because you're gonna die in Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead 2. I gotta drink some more water. Alright. None of this is actually scaring me or anything. It's fun to watch though. Okay, so we're about halfway through it. Like on Twitter and on here, I don't get a lot of like likes or views. But I don't really care either. I'm pretty boring IRL. I'm not trying to grow my like stuff. I'm just trying to be authentic and not seek validation from others. I think one shouldn't always go for likes or anything because it's all fleeting. And the problem with going for likes or anything else is because eventually, because you can't make people like you, right? So if you can't make people like you, if you can't make people appreciate you or like you or anything, then you are probably going to be crushed because you seek validation from other people or things that not only are not God, but people typically, well, let's just say people, how they act in public isn't always how they act in private, and vice versa. So one has to be willing to be alone if they need to be, and that's why I'm not really bothered, because I could be completely alone and not care. But then again, this is the ODS side of me maybe speaking and being biased, because I try to, I guess, argue with justification, metaphysics, theology, power scaling. I like to argue different things, why people believe what they believe, if they can be consistent. This also goes for politics, and if that you not only are not able to ground justification for your claims, but if you can even, if they're even valid or coherent. For example, if you believe in evolution or simulation theory and you're just cause and effect, then everything you're saying, doing, espousing truth, knowledge, universes, justification, the like, you can't actually know if it's valid or not. You can't even know if you even exist, because it's all arbitrary, it's all relative, it's all random, and because human minds are finite, you can't actually know for certain that what you're saying is actually true. You can't even prove or know that the past exists, right? You can't possibly know that. And, speaking of politics, I hope Charlie Kirk is up in heaven. I hope I feel so bad for his wife and daughters and family and friends. Now, I believe in free speech, even if I don't think the speech is in particularly in good taste. However, saying it they you can't do it, I think they can't say it is just an appeal to emotions. Wait, hold on. Somebody's in the lobby. Yo, where is my... Dai's in here. Wait. Oh, Dai, I didn't know you were still watching. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just relaxing while watching scary stuff and talking about theology and politics and power scaling and whatever. And there's lo-fi in the background too. So yeah, as I was saying before, that appealing to emotions or consensus are fallacies, and a lot of people, I think LDS people, they don't know how to properly debate and defend their position. That's what I think, anyway. Wait, how long is this? 30 minutes. So it should be done by like 10:50, maybe. Anyway, as I was saying before, but yeah, as I am a black emo LDS, I'm also very open, because I don't mind if people disagree, nor do I care. It's 10:18 for me, die. But yeah, as I was saying before, the thing that's happening, the issue is that a lot of people who are in cults or basically listen to a cult-like leader, they'll always listen to basically the leader, and they'll always have groupthink going on in their head. So, for example, they'll never be able to do an internal critique of their own belief system, because they not only have cognitive dissonance, but they don't apply the same standards to themselves that they apply to others. I just think it's kind of weird. And as I'm watching this, I've noticed none of this has actually scared me, because I'm so focused on what I'm trying to think about and say. It's only at like 480p. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. But as I was saying before, I think a lot of people don't know how to properly defend their arguments or anything like that. Another thing, for example, Latter-day Saints will say, they'll use the justification, they'll say, well, Joseph Smith, he was chosen by God to restore the gospel, continue the gospel. It's like, okay, you can say that. That's a fair claim to make. However, the issue is that in certain scriptures, it even says, well, there shall be no more prophets after this. There shall be no more revelation. And a lot of people will say, well, look at the Bible. They'll too quote it. They'll say, well, look at the Bible. Look at the contradictions. But the big issue is that many Mormons fall into the trap of, well, the Bible says a lot of different stuff too, so therefore it must be fake. But the issue is that there's a lot more historical evidence and archaeological evidence for the Bible than there is for the Book of Mormon. And I'm on LDS saying that. So the way you go about it is you say Joseph Smith, he was a prophet, but the main thing about any church should be about Jesus, not any fallible person. And you can be correct in your interpretation, but wrong about the conclusions. For example, Joseph Smith, he believed Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and a lot of the Latter-day Saints leaders, they believe that they believe that there can't be any way for Joseph Smith to be wrong, but it's an appeal to authority, because unless you argue it correctly or consistently, people can just say, well, why are we supposed to follow Joseph Smith? And it's like, well, you know, what's the justification for following Joseph Smith? And a lot of people will just say, well, because he's just chosen by God. But it's begging the question, though, because it doesn't really properly answer the objection someone has against it. So I would say the LDS theology is true because I think it makes the most consistency. And I feel like if you didn't begin existing until a human, and you weren't given a choice to become human, and you weren't given a choice to not partake in God's plan, that feels very, I think, strange to me. Not to mention the pre-existence of God, I would say is kind of weird, because it would almost seem like Jesus is forced into doing it, which I don't believe he is. I think God always has free will, but I do think Jesus Christ is God and always been God. But the LDS thing works, but you have to argue it in a certain way and not argue with biased stuff, because then you fall into circularity that you can't actually justify, because you can kind of fall into Agrippa's trilemma, which still is very, I would say it's very suspicious. It's very suspect, because if all presuppositions are assumed, and it's all circular because we ultimately can't know what the truth is, because everything is relative to itself, you can't actually say for certain that you know that Agrippa's trilemma is circular, because the way you know something is circular, which just kicks the can down the road, because at some point you have to be willing to give up the ability to make knowledge claims. You can't even know of history. One wouldn't be able to know if history is valid or not, because then you can say, well, these people said this and these other people said that, and it's like, well, that's just appealing to a different authority that you've already presumed and assumed and claimed it's true. But then the one issue that people run into is that it's not, if your arguments are not consistent with themselves, or if they're not consistent with your beliefs, and we can just say inconsistency is allowed, then you can't say for certain that one way is better than the other one, and it basically just comes down to preference and force. If reality is reality, and if reality isn't self-evident, because you can't know all of reality, then it's very hard, if not impossible, to say that one moral system is better than the other, because it's all subjective and meaningless. It's just based on preference, as I said earlier. So what you have to do is you have to go into the fact that people who believe in morals and something else, they have presuppositions, they use stuff that they get, like, for example, the laws of logic, and many other things, the mind, for example. People just grant these things to be true and self-evident and self-referencing. But again, if that's the case, then people argue for things constantly that they not only have to have faith in, but they try to deny the thing that they're using. For example, metaphysics, presuppositions, the justification, and many people don't want to do that because you can't. It's hard to argue against your own presuppositions because you need to assume something tacitly as an axiom to make sense of anything. Even the law of identity, for example, is still proclaiming knowledge. For example, A equals A. Yeah, it might be valid, but it doesn't tell the whole picture because something being logically consistent with itself doesn't always mean we ought to do it. So it's kind of an ought and an is by David Hume. David Hume was consistent, and he said, well, we can just do something and use it, but using something doesn't give you justification. For example, if we use math and 2 plus 2 always equals 4, you can't also say that, it's like, how does 2 plus 2 always being 4 mean I can't how does 2 plus 2 always being 4 mean how does that being consistent mean that murder is wrong? Because if you don't have something to appeal to something outside of your senses or perhaps even reality, you can't say that murder is wrong because, in fact, murder can't be wrong because you're just determined to do it. There is no choosing. There's no choosing in this worldview because you have made all actions equalized. Yeah, all actions are equalized. And if all actions are equalized, it doesn't matter what happens. It's self-referencing. So that's kind of what I was saying about that. It just is. Why? It just is because of my personal autonomy. Okay, why is that bad? Because we all agree that it's bad, but that's an appeal to consensus. Okay, because it's bad because it takes away the free will of others. Okay, why is taking the free will of others bad? Well, it's bad because we agreed on. Do you see why it's just an endless cycle drain? Also, a lot of people say to go to politics a little bit because getting tired of theology and metaphysics is kind of a little bit tiring. So now what I'm going to talk about is why white civilizations in the past and all white civilizations may have not been as good as people think. For one, ancient Greece and ancient Rome, unless you were like high ranking or something, the average person in ancient Greece and ancient Rome didn't have a good life. You tended not to probably live as long as you think. There was a whole bunch of diseases. There was medicine that really couldn't help you. You kind of just had to deal with it. science really couldn't help you either, because it's just not very it's not very it's just not very good. So ancient Greece, ancient Rome, all white societies, I don't think they were as good or as great as people make them. Now, they did have a lot of good stuff, but I would argue people romanticize and have rose-tinted nostalgia about it because it's the past, and a lot of people have feelings towards the past. Therefore, I think there could be some bias at play. As for the Viking days and the ancient Greek days, ancient Greece. So let's go to 720. As for the ancient Greece days, for example, the days of not ancient Greece or ancient Rome. I meant the Vikings and the pagan days. The pagans did a whole bunch of bad stuff. They sacrificed their own children. They follow gods that say rape is, the R word is basically okay. They did it in the days of Noah. The demons, angels came down, devils, whatever you want to call them. They had intercourse. They had R word. They sacrificed their children. Same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah. There was a lot of wickedness there. So God didn't just flood the earth and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah for no reason. He did it because they were very, very wicked, probably a lot more than people are today on average. And going back to the Noah days, it was like this was back in the days where God gave him 400 years. He gave him 400 years. I just don't know what else to tell people. So yeah, the Viking, and as for the Vikings, they weren't exactly sweethearts either, because the Vikings, if people want to know that, they went around pillaging each other. They pillaged people of their own race. People also say that a lot of times white people, now granted, I think they did a lot for the humanity, the most, besides Jesus, but I think many of them, they try to argue against this stuff. They fail because they are not consistent with it. And so that's kind of why you have to get through all the red tape, because they don't have much of an argument to stand on. And if they're going to appeal to emotions or nostalgia, all you have to do is debunk these people and say, well, white people pillaged other white people killed other white people, and perhaps it wasn't as good as you think it was. Perhaps it wasn't as good as you think. Now, I think white societies today are much better, but this is because it was after a Christ-like culture that was able to steer people in the right direction. And that's why you should always look to argue within the context, because if you don't, then you're going to end up in circulation. You're going to end up in arguing in circles. Nazis and Hitler especially are they can't argue with consistency either, because whenever you bring up how Nazis had non-white people, Nazis made a pact with the Jews called the Havara Agreement, which sent Jews to Palestine, and that could have created the modern state of Israel, which is funny because whenever you bring it up, a lot of Hitler fanatics and white people who are not consistent, they won't be able to argue against it or get out of it. Hitler, on the other hand, was particularly, he wasn't consistent. I think he was a hypocrite. For one, I think he might have had some Jewish in him. I mean, let's be honest with that. That's number one. Number two, as I said before, Nazi Germany had non-whites. Hitler himself might have not even been fully white, so it's kind of funny. People posit him as the white savior. Number three, Hitler did drugs. He wasn't exactly all there. He didn't have the best health. A lot of people think I'm lying about it, but I'm not. So, yeah, the Hitler fans, whenever I pointed out that Hitler wasn't consistent, people just say, oh, you're just Jewish or you're brown, as if that has anything to do with the lack of argumentation. It just doesn't. These people do not know how to argue consistently. And one of the things about Hitler that people really, I think, need to drum to their heads a little bit is that Hitler, he wasn't like, it's like, for example, how can you say that like Hitler liked white people when he did his T4 Action program, which is a program where if you were disabled in a way he didn't see fit, or if you weren't useful to him, you would have been well, let's just say you would have been offed. Okay, you would have been offed. He would have sterilized you, and a lot of people don't want to admit that either, because they have cognitive dissonance about Hitler. And it's like, if he really cared about his own race, as people say, why would he sterilize his own people? Not to mention, one of his leaders and captains, I believe, had a shorter leg, one leg shorter than the other one, so he's not even consistent with that either. There's just no evidence that a lot of these so-called online Nazis are being consistent, because they have to take things out of context to make it work. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's called selection bias. It's to do anything that makes Hitler look good while defending the bad. They worship him like he's God, and when it turns out he's not God, they make excuses for him. So this video is almost over. Got like 4 minutes left. So I'll just wrap it up that I like power scaling. Well, I'll talk a little bit about power scaling. Power scaling is pretty fun, but once you get to like characters like boundless and irrelevant characters, it goes above the math, it goes above the speed scale, it goes above the ability to use math or use anything to calculate for anything because it's theoretical. It's not grounded in reality. And so the way you go about it if you have one boundless character and irrelevant character, they both basically break the tiering system. However, irrelevant I think is a little bit higher, and I'll tell you why. If you are layers into boundless, you can still calculate that with some really high math stuff, even if the math has to be theoretical. But if it's irrelevant, you can't even apply math or anything like it because you can't use anything to scale the character because irrelevant characters break the tiering system. It's kind of like talking about God fusing Goku and highballing him to metafictional. You just can't really use math anymore because at some point you just have to make up your own bias scale, and it's all hypothetical. It's not based on like hard logical science anymore. It's just based on kind of your imagination and ability to like even imagine things. But because those are very hard, it's very hard to scale boundless and irrelevant characters because people can have different interpretations of what those means. But I still give the nod to irrelevant characters. I think someone having irrelevant speed might be more impressive than someone being boundless, because irrelevant speed means you can be in multiple places at once. You can be in the past, present, future. You can be in not only the past, present, future, but you can be on Pluto in one place, and you can be on the Earth in another place, and you can be in all those places and more at the same time because you're just moving that fast. It's kind of like omnipresence, but it's different a little. So, yeah. Well, as this video's over, I'm just going to say it was fun. Like, I had a lot of fun talking about getting my brain thinking, because at the end of the day, I just like to put my case on things and stuff, and I think that it's not too bad. I think, yeah, I just think that I think people should learn to say what they want, but they should be able to disagree in a mature way. And I think if people could be more Christ-like, even if one doesn't believe in Jesus, I think Christianity is pragmatic and has been a net good for everyone. But that's what I think. So, as this video is coming to a close, so is our session, and it was fun. And that's it. I'm just an LDS emo guy, a brown emo. And I just want people to get along. I just want everyone to be able to respect each other and disagree. And if you're going to disagree, just be kind, just be respectful, be Christ-like. Don't always believe everything that you believe. Be okay with being wrong. Be okay with saying that, hey, I screwed up. I'm trying to self-improve, and it's okay. It's alright. Anyway, God bless everyone. Jesus Christ loves everyone, and I truly want people to be happy. I truly do. Anyway, it was a good